Right, and we're live. Really good. Right, sorry, I'm just getting the tweet out and then I'll be able to read the chat. But to those in the chat already, good luck in tonight's race. Of course, the final race of the Formula 1 Championship. And from what it looks to be, of course, a man who's won many championships in this league, Bolt's last race as a league racer, but I don't even see him in the lobby at the moment. So there you go. He might not be racing tonight, but of course our main attention and main focus tonight will be on the championship battle between Ed and Addy, where it is just 11 points, and of course with 25 points up for grabs tonight, well actually 26, of course if you do set the fastest lap, things could be incredible. If Addy was to take the fastest lap and finish in first place, and Ed was to finish in third place, Addy would win the championship by 1 point. We really could be set up for an extraordinary scenario here tonight. But now, as the drivers get underway in, of course, their one-shot qualifying lap, which most of you will be accustomed to here, as we have Ed here coming through the hairpin, and now he'll be shifting up through the gears, all the way up into 8th gears, and now open up the DRS, as it looks like Addy and Ed at the moment are battling each other for this pole position, as now he breaks at just about the 100-metre board. Very tight apex into the chicane, and very difficult with the camber of the next right-hander part of the chicane to get the traction down and to get the power down to this next straight. Of course, another DRS straight, which makes the overtaking in this race very, very exciting indeed. But Ed, just as he heads into the left and right chicane, now followed by another left, making a little bit of a mistake and a little bit of a lock up here. As now they come into the final sector, very fast double right-hander, followed by a very heavy braking zone, which leads into a right-hander, and then a very difficult, about third or fourth gear left-hander, and then guess what? Another left-handed, as they'll be wanting to get as close to the wall as they possibly can, as now they're coming in towards the penultimate corner now, as Ed at the moment is currently in the lead. And now through the final corner, can he get the traction down well off? He can, and Ed will take pole position in the final race of the championship by 0.3 of a second over his championship rival Addy. And that is a big lap. If either of those two had made a mistake, it could have been championship over. But to their credit, they did not make a mistake, and Chillicothe very close to Addy. They're only about 500ths behind Addy. And it's important to point out that Ragno is serving a what's it called, a qualifying ban tonight. So that's why he got himself disqualified very early on. But there we have it. Ed on pole. Very good pole position by Ed indeed. Followed by Addy in second. Chillicothe in third. Dougie Afferman in fourth. Then we've got Testmeister in fifth. Chaz on the mediums in sixth. It'll be interesting to see how his strategy goes. Then we have Murcielago also on the mediums in seventh. And then we have Skull in eighth. Schechter in ninth. Then we have Val in 10th, Maverick in 11th, Hereford 12th, Ragno 13th, and King No Skill last of all in 14th position. As now we'll start to move into the final preparations before the formation lap. And now I will just be back in one moment. And we're back. Just had to go grab my iPad to check a couple of things as I nearly dropped my control on the floor, and that wouldn't have been very good indeed. As now we're just waiting for the drivers to ready up. I don't know what's taking so long, to be quite honest. It's not like you can change the setup or anything. But now we'll finally be getting underway for our final formation lap of the season, of course, in our season finale. But it really could be interesting here, because if there's so many potential scenarios that could happen tonight. Ed could finish third, Addy could finish in first, and then we'd have to go back and the championship would be decided by 1 point. But of course, if Addy wins a race, God, if Ed finishes third and Addy wins the race and he gets the fastest lap, then we will be equal on. They will be equal on points, and we'll have to go to a count back in terms of race wins. So some interesting scenarios can certainly happen here tonight. So coming now through, we'll just come through turn 9. Addy just taking his time, making sure he can warm up his tyres a little bit more. And Ed's noticed that, and now he's started to really slow down, so quite a slow formation lap. As you can see, most of the midfield's bunched up, but we've still got drivers like Murcielago quite a ways back. And even Hereford, who's in King No Skill, who are all the way back. Still on the second DRS straight. So I'm sure the leaders, who are now well and truly through the into the final sector now, I'm sure they'll be quite furious that as Maverick has just put a raging message in the group chat, because of course you can see he is on the grid at the moment and not able to take part in this formation lap. But there's certainly lots of mind games being played already here between Ed and Addy. Addy making sure that his tyres stay as warm as possible and that Ed stay on the grid, cooled down for as long as possible. But still, we have got some cars that are quite a ways back. King No Skill has only gone through the second last corner, which is just turn 20, of course, a 21 corners on this track. And now we're about to get underway as King No Skill lines up on the back of the grid for the start of the season finale here in Abu Dhabi. And here we go. We have 3, we have 4, we have 5. And we're underway here in Abu Dhabi for the season finale, and it looks like it's been a very good start by the Mercedes of Ed. But it looks like Addy will also make sure that his second place is very secure, as well as we've got McLaren running wide there, as Chazza and Murcielago are battling a little bit further back. But our main attention here, of course, in this race will be focused on Addy and Chillakilla, as Dougie Affman potentially looking to make a move there on Chillakilla, but nothing doing, as Chazza has got a pretty solid start up into P6. Now he's going to be looking to put some pressure on Testemeister, the McLaren, in P5. But here we go, very early on. Addy using his overtake mode to try and put Ed under pressure. He's going to have to go for an early lunge here. Ed has to turn out the corner. There's a little bit of contact as to come through the turn. Through the turn 8 and 9 chicane. And now on the second straight here, Addy really putting Ed under pressure, making him go defensive, putting him under a lot of pressure in the early stages of this race, all the while not using much ERS at all. But we've got some yellow flags behind, and it looks like that could be for Hereford, Ragnar and Schechtefer, and Maverick has got a 5-second penalty, and we've got a safety car. So already, after one lap, We've got a safety car. I wonder what on earth has happened further back. I think Schechter might have a little bit of damage. Yes, he does on the left-hand side there. I'm not too sure about Ragnar. Does Ragnar have some damage? I think he does. I think Ragnar does have some damage on both sides of his front wing. Yes, there you go. Does Maverick have some damage? Yes, he does on the left-hand side of his front wing. Oh, mainly on the right-hand side. Christ, I wonder what's happened further back there as they now will come into the pits to change their front wings and to put on a different set of boots. And Maverick looking to go long, and he's of course got that 5-second time penalty, which he will serve now. And he'll be putting on a medium compound tyres, I believe. Let's just see what tyres he did indeed put on. He did indeed put on a set of medium compound tyres. Sorry, hard compound tyres. So he'll be looking to go long now in this race and potentially pitting onto a fresher set of soft tyres as he nearly goes into the wall in the tunnel, of course, where the track cuts back onto turn 3 and 4. One of the coolest pit lanes on the calendar, that's for sure. But there you go. The top 7 have not changed positions. The only real gainers so far been Val and King No Skill made up 2 and 4 positions. And we do have a little bit of a lesser grid here, it must be said, today. Sadly for our season finale, only 14 drivers. So that's a bit sad to see, but I hope that we won't be under safety car conditions for too long, as it really wasn't a severe incident. I'm not too sure why indeed we did get a safety car. But there you go, we'll have to deal with it for the time being. So you have Dougie Afferman weaving very aggressively behind. Hello Bolt mate, how are you doing starting in classic NRL style? I see. Well, we didn't even have that major of contact. No one was crashed into a wall. I just think that there was some contact. Oh, well, there's a classic NRL start. King No Skill was retired as somehow Maverick has picked up a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits underneath the safety car. I'm still absolutely miffed at how people do pick up penalties underneath the safety car, but they do, and now hopefully this will be the final lap underneath the safety car, so I'm not bored out of my brains much longer. And there you go, the safety car looks like it. Why did it show, like, why did the green light start flashing now on the safety car? That's interesting, but as you can see, everyone's saved up their ERS. Now, I wonder if we can get some data on how much fuel these guys have. I don't think we can, unfortunately. But I know Chazza will always like to run as low as fuel as he possibly can, but must be said, probably not the greatest news for him. Him being on the medium compound tyres here, of course. Everyone else being on the soft, so it very much plays into the hands of everyone else on the soft compound tyres, as they can go much longer now in their first stint. Jill screening with the virtual Bahrain Grand Prix. Nice, nice. I was watching, of course, before we started. Tell you what, I can't wait for our Pro League to be back tomorrow. I've certainly missed that, and with no sport on at the moment, these esports events really are becoming the most thing to watch. So good, Lando disconnected, is holding everyone up. Oh no, that sucks. I've seen that Lando had a little bit of a drama in the Veloce race that they did beforehand, but in good news, the safety car will be in this lap, as now the drivers are ferociously weaving all across the track in an attempt to warm up their tyres, as Ed making sure everyone really is bunched up here. Oh my goodness, as we're nearly coming to a standstill. We're going at nearly 30 kilometers an hour I can nearly run faster than that. And yes, I did say that Butters from Tempo Storm has it. So guys, 5-second time penalty for Testameisters. We're about to get back underway here. An Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and that looks like a pretty good start by Ed. He caught Addy sleeping a little bit there, and if he can build up this advantage, he could really put a major dent in Addy's chances here. Oh, but Ed's had made a massive mistake there, nearly going to the wall, and that would have absolutely been a massive scare in Camp Ed there, as he was very aggressive on the outside curb, nearly spinning into the wall, as we've got yellow flags behind. I believe that's a Red Bull Murcielago who's had a little bit of an issue there, along with a Mercedes in Maverick, so it looks like contact between those two. As now on lap 4, we're finally back under racing conditions here, and Addy once again is looking to put Ed under pressure. I'm so used to saying Bolt, of course. As Ed with a very major lock-up, locking up the rear tyres. Oh, has absolutely smoked his tyres. He's sliding all over the place. And now can Addy take advantage of this and move himself up into P1? They're going side by side as they come down towards the second chicane. Yes, Addy can move himself up into the lead in this Grand Prix. And that is a crucial early move in this race. It looks like Ed is really struggling with some rear locking here, and he needs to be very careful as Chilicula. He could perhaps launch an attack here, but he's not going to. And for some reason, he's keeping it an overtake all the way in the final sector. That's quite interesting. I'm sure that has to be some sort of glitches. Oh, we've got Ducky Afferman retiring, as it looks like Testameisters might have had contact, and yes, Testameisters is certainly lacking some front downforce there as he cuts across in front of the Williams and goes into the pit lane. But now Addy's already, oh, and there you go. We've got King No Skill and Dougie Afferman in the wall there, and we've got half the grid in the pits. We've got Chazza as well, so Chazza looks like he's been involved in that incident as well. Have we got a virtual safety car? Yes, we do. No, we've got another full safety car. For crying out loud. And I'm sure that Addy would be rather disappointed with all of that, because he really did have a fantastic safety car restart. And Ed certainly feeling the pressure a little bit, making quite a lot of mistakes on that previous lap. Nearly losing and going to the wall out of the exit of turn 1. Nearly onto the entry of turn 2. And then of course with a massive locking of the brakes up into the turn 8 and 9 hairpin. Oh, sorry, chicane I should rather say. But wow. Dougie ran wide, lost it into the wall in Discord with him, and he's heartbroken, bless him. My question is, why on earth are you using Discord? That awful, awful thing. But Safety Car Simulator 2019, indeed, it is. Well, most of the we haven't had a full lap under green flag conditions. Well, you want to go? What, the fact that TeamSpeak is so much better? Yeah, but here we go. We've got the leaders now coming into the pits, and we'll assume that they're going to go onto a set of medium compounded tyres. I'm not entirely sure what set of tyres they're going to go on, but of course now, as we've got Val, Hereford, Ragno, and probably Chazza all looking to continue on, they're going to go onto the... Wow. All going to go onto the medium set of tyres, but they're going to be put in traffic now. So a real test. It's not going to be easy for Ed to win this championship. He might be 11 points ahead, but it ain't going to be easy for him. Better on Windows Vista maybe. Get with the old times. No, just the fact that it uses less CPU and just better. Just absolutely better. But Now, all of a sudden, Val, who's decided to start on the medium compounded tyres, is in the lead of the race, along with Hereford in second on the on the hard compound tyres, I should say. Hereford's favourite type of tyres. Remember, he did a massive stint early on this season on these tyres, and yeah. Magno, of course, who had to serve as I'm getting absolutely flamed in the chat by Bolt here for being absolutely right that TeamSpeak is better than Discord, and I've been called an old man. I'm so wrong, but it's okay. You're entitled to your wrong opinion. Well, thanks for that, Toby. You can yeah, I can't quite say that on stream. The Ferraris could indeed decide this championship, of course. It was a battle between the Ferraris for the championship last year. Of course, my good mate, Shazza. No, I'm not having any of this slander. Discord is not better than TeamSpeak. TeamSpeak is much, much better. Could have gotten away by it, got hit from behind, got it this season ended this way. That is indeed unfortunate, mate, and a sad way to end the season. But finally, and thankfully, the safety car is in this lap. So we're going to get some racing underway. And I swear to the living God, if there is one, that if we have a safety car again, I'm going to absolutely lose my marbles. As we're underway, as Val gets up, that's quite a casual safety car restart, but still somehow builds a gap to Hereford, who's struggling with a little bit of rear-end snappage there. But of course, we're going to be looking to see as Val runs a little bit deep there into turn one. But the real thing we've got to focus on is how Addy and Ed get through this traffic, as Ed is all over the back, and oh, he had to back out of a potential move there on Addy, as Addy was looking to get past Ragnar, and Ragnar's got completely out of the way. He's cut the chicane, and now Ed trying to go around the outside here of Addy at the hairpin, but Addy is saying, you ain't doing that, but Ed just ran completely off the track, trying to do so, but now Ed is going to get into the slipstream of Addy, who's in the slipstream of Al. We could be about 4 wide here. Down into turn 7. Addy looking for a switchback here on Addy. As Ed didn't quite see what was going on there. He's still trying to go for a move. But now Addy is up into P1 in this race, with Ed in the slipstream of Val. Val getting out of the way. Addy having to defend the inside line here, as Ed surely should get this move done on Val, and yes, he will. The two leaders in the championship are through the traffic safely, but also here comes Chazza. As we've got some yellow flags, as it looks like Murcielago's been involved in some drama back there as well, but Ed looking much more assured on these medium compounded tyres, and must be said, it looked like he was really struggling on those soft compounded tyres before they made their pit stop, so I'm sure that he'll be very glad that they're on these medium compounded tyres now. As we now move on to lap 8 out of 28, as Skelt's picked up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, and it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Chazza and Chillakilla can get past Val quick enough and perhaps close that gap towards Ed and Addy, or whether or not it'll just be a straight out battle between those two, as Chazza looking to get past Val here at the end of the first sector, and he does so successfully. And Chillakilla, of course, Val's teammate in the Alpha Romeo, will be looking to get through as well, but he runs a little bit over the curve there, and he's not going to get the sufficient traction required. But we'll go towards the leaders now, as we have Ed trying to attack Addy here on lap 8. Down into the chicane. Oh, was that a little bit of contact there? I couldn't quite see. But it looks like everyone's still got their front wing. And coming out of the turn 8 and 9 chicane here, Addy is under pressure here from Ed. But doesn't look like Ed is quite using his ERS to try and get past there. But it looks like Chillakilla has finally got past Val. And also now Chazza up into P3. But Chazza could really still be a major factor in this race. Of course, we all know how quick and fast of a racer Chazza here is, and if these two in front start squabbling, he could be brought into this battle. And Chazza, although he's not in the championship battle, he'll be wanting to get as many points as he possibly can be. as it looks like he is trying to save his tyres, it must be said, not driving and putting everything he's got into this whatsoever, and saving quite a lot of ERS as well. There's, I don't know what on earth Chillikil's doing, using overtake mode in the final sector. That's quite questionable indeed, but there you go. He's of course 0.5 of a second here behind Chazza in P4. And as they come towards the end now, the first sector, and of course the first chicane on this circuit. A very difficult chicane where you just have to go into second gear as you actually go through the first part of the chicane. But Chillikil looking to start a nice little switch back here on Chazza. And now you open up the DRS as we'll just go quickly ahead to the front here as Ed's closing on Addy once again. Addy really parking the bus through the chicane. Oh, and a little bit of contact there as Ed did hit the back of Addy, but it looks like Chillikil has gotten past Chazza here. But now Ed's really going for the move here. Addy absolutely making sure he doesn't get through on the inside. It looks like Ed is going to get up into first place though with a brilliant move around the outside. And now Addy is going to have to respond. He's going to have to save up his ERS in the final part of this lap and try to answer with a move, as I thought he was going to run into the back of Ed there, as he was gaining ever larger in the mirrors of Ed, I'm sure. But Ed, I'm sure, looking much better on these medium compounded tyres. But we'll see how things start to look at the end of these stints. It seems as if Ed was having quite a few issues with the rear tyres at the end of the first stint. So we'll see what happens here. But Addy really, can't be making that mistake, loosening the car a little bit on the right hand side curb there. He needs to make sure he stays within DRS of his Mercedes rival. Otherwise that will be an absolute disaster for him. He'll still have DRS on this lap 10 already. We're absolutely flying through this race, even though most of it's been underneath the safety car. But Addy now in overtake mode, really not gaining too much on Ed here, but into the braking zone of the chicane. Looking to gain a little bit much, but Ed really starting to defend here, and it looks like Addy's gaining quite a bit here. And there we go, Ed under pressure already, even though of Addy's mistake earlier on in the lap. But interesting enough, he's still using an overtake here through the chicane and then all the way down into zero. So it's clear to me that he perhaps doesn't have his ERS button set up quite as efficiently as he possibly could do. I'm not too sure if Addy's on a wheel or a controller, but I know for one thing's for sure. On my controller I have R1 and L1 to change my ERS mode, so I can quite comfortably do it through the corners. But the end of lap 10, the gap is 0.6 of a second here between Addy and Ed, as Addy runs quite a ways wide there through turn 1. As King No Skill is of course disconnecting and reconnecting as he usually does, but through the first and third sector, Ed just pulling away a little bit here from Addy. But of course through the middle sector where we have the massive DRS straights, Addy will close that gap. And look at that, as Bolt did bring up in the chat, Addy has a lot more ERS than Ed, and Ed really could come into trouble on this second DRS straight with the lack of ERS that he has. As you can see, he only has about 15%, whereas Addy has 60%. But it looks like he went a little bit deep into the braking zone there at the end of the long hairpin. So the long straight, I don't know what on earth I'm saying at the moment, but yeah, Ed under pressure a little bit with very little ERS, that's for sure. Addy needs to make sure he maintains that advantage, but also stays close enough, as they are certainly pulling away from Chazza and Chillikil, who are in 3rd and 4th. So it looks like it's going to be a straight out dogfight between Addy and Ed in this Grand Prix. We've got Val a little bit further back in P5 with Ragnar in P6, and Hereford sticking to them pretty well on those hard compounded tyres in P7. Skull a little bit further back in P8, who I know does have a couple of penalties as he runs a little bit wide there. As we've got Maverick then in P9, Schechterfer in P10, Testameister in 11th, King of Skill, who I don't know if he's actually reconnected or not. That to me looks like an AI driving that car, so it looks like he has not reconnected, unfortunately, for King No Skill. But once again, Addy, now is his time to start putting this pressure on to Ed, probably through the middle part of this stint on these medium compounded tyres for these guys, and it really is the time to put this pressure on Ed. Ed only being able to use medium on the straight here as he's lacking ERS, and surely with that ERS advantage, Addy can launch a big and perhaps successful attack down this second DRS straight, and look how much he's closing the gap already to Ed. Ed will defend that inside line with everything he possibly has, but Addy going to try and get the move done around the outside, but he's just not close enough at the moment. He hits the back of Ed there through the quick right, left, don't know exactly what it is, but Addy certainly starting to put this pressure on Ed, starting to launch some attacks as we've got Ragno and Val going at it with quite a large corner cut there by Ragno, that's for sure. As now Val's going defensive into a flat out corner. This could allow Ragno to go around the outside. Surely there's not an overtake there, and he's forced off the track there by Val, and Ragno's going to say, no, cop that, mate, and he's going to come right back on the circuit after running completely off the circuit, which he was forced off wide by Val. But now they're still going side by side. We're nearly about 15 wide through the final sector, and that looks like it was Ragno going into the wall. Just a little bit too much action there in the final sector, and now Hereford's up into P6, and Ragno will have to pit for a new front wing, and Schechterfer's retired from the Grand Prix. What's happened to Schechterfer? It's all happening in the background there, but here we go. It's really now time for Addy, as he just missed the DRS detection point there for a split second, but Addy now, and Ed seemingly with no answer, overtakes Ed into turn 8, and now out of the turn 9. Can he get the traction down well enough to make sure he can get that launch? But you can see Ed does have a little bit more ERS than what he did on the previous lap. And now he's launching back his attack on Addy. Can he repeat and go around the outside of the Haas? No, there's a little bit of contact between the two. And Ed will lose out. He goes down into second place. But Addy, as we've been talking about for a few laps now, with that ERS advantage really working out for him, and he is now up into the lead this Grand Prix. Ed tried to replicate what he did to get past earlier on in this race by going around the outside, but Addy was a lot more aggressive in his defence and made sure that he could not get past. We didn't see exactly what happened, but Ed just, well, I'd call that blatant track extending, to be perfectly honest with you, there at the final corner. But Addy, yeah, just looking a little bit stronger all of a sudden in this second stint, of course. Oh, we've had Skull retire. Now, as we're down to only 9 runners in our final race, and we've got a virtual safety car. And it looks like Skull has binned it in the final sector, in turn 19, where of course we've seen Dougie Afferman go out the race, of course his Toro Rosso teammate. Unfortunate there for Skull to end his season, but now this is really interesting. We've only got 9 races left. As oh, that's big. With the restart of the virtual safety car ending, Addy now all of a sudden has a second over Ed. And that is the thing with the virtual safety car, the timing of it can be cruel. And there you go, Ed was just a little bit behind Addy, caught unawares a little bit, but Addy now has a 1.5 second lead. And now Chazza perhaps can start to get himself involved in this race, but looks like he might be coming into the pits as he usually does go in this hot lap mode when he usually comes into the pits. So will we see Chazza come into the pit lane? Yes we do, look at that. I know my old teammate too well as Chazza now pits from P3 in this race, looking for an undercut to perhaps involve himself in this battle for the lead. And what tyres is he going to go on to? This looks like there's some soft compounded tyres with a change of front wings, so that will certainly rule him out of any undercut on the two leaders. But Chazza going on to the soft compound tyres, so he wants to have some fun in this race. And of course was the final race of the season, but now looks like Addy is starting to pull away. He's much more effective in saving his ERS in this race by looks of it, and we've seen this even early on this season. I believe it might have been in Azerbaijan. He was so incredibly good at saving his ERS, and I think we're seeing it here once again today, and it could bring him the win. But of course that will not be enough to bring home the championship for Addy. But as we've just crossed halfway distance now, there's still a long way to go in this race. A lot of things can happen. And Addy now, he just really needs to get his head down, try and continue to build this gap over Ed. And who knows, anything could happen. So we have Chillakilla a little bit ways behind in third place, 6 seconds behind Ed. And I doubt that we're going to see him start to catch up on Ed. It looks like Ed and Addy just have the pace advantage over Chillakilla here today. Of course, as he's mainly been battling with Chazza, who, yeah, Chazza's really going for it here. He's looking to perhaps go for a fastest lap here on the next lap, as he's really using all of his ERS on his in-lap and out-lap here, as he's seemingly struggling quite a bit here through the final sector, through turn 19 and now turn 20. You can see he's just not as aggressive on the throttle as perhaps our other drivers. There you go, he was purple through the final sector. But at this rate, he should be coming out ahead of Chillakilla, even though he did pit and change his front wing. But Chillakilla will only likely have to pit one more time in this race, whereas Chazza will probably have to pit again as well. But Chazza, of course, 19 seconds behind Chillakilla. There's going to be quite a bit of a difference there. But as you can see, this gap is really starting to open up now between Ed and Addy. Addy's now pulled out another half a second on this lap alone, and Ed really struggling for a bit of rhythm there through just the start of the final sector there, through the turns 11, 12 and 13, little chicane. And I think it's just a real pity that now there isn't a third person in this battle, because it's quite clear that Addy at the moment has the advantage in this race, but there's no one there to try and get at Ed. But now Ed is going to come into the pit lane and put on another set of medium tyres, we assume, going for a little bit of an undercut here, as he will want to win, of course, the last race. And there we go, Ed now makes a very successful pit stop, puts on those medium compound tyres, and now he'll be looking for an undercut here on Addy. So Addy will have to make sure that he puts in a good lap. Of course, there is quite a high amount of tyre wear here in Abu Dhabi, so Addy will have to make sure he puts in a good lap here. Otherwise, Ed could perhaps see himself re-emerge in the lead. And I'm sure that Ed's going to put in a very aggressive and fast lap here, trying to regain the lead here in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, as we're already on lap 17 of 28. This race really is flying past, as Maverick's gone past Hereford, who's on those medium compounded tyres still. He'll be looking to perhaps go onto the soft compounded tyres for his final stint and perhaps fly through and get some very solid points, of course, as we've only got 9 runners in this race and we've already had 5 retirees 17 laps in, as he'll now pick up the DRS here on the Mercedes in front of him. Of course, the Mercedes being Maverick, but Maverick, who I believe had just pitted quite recently for these soft compounded tyres. Yes, you can see just by the nature of those tyres that he should be now starting to pull away from Hereford. And here we go, we have Addy now coming into the pit lane in response to Ed's pit stop. And Ed, let's see how much this undercut has perhaps worked for the Mercedes driver. And here we go, Addy just had to wait a little bit there in the pit lane. I'm not too sure why. Perhaps he didn't quite engage the clutch to get out of the pit lane as precisely as he needed to. As he comes out of the tunnel, all fine and all okay. But wow, would you look at that? Ed is back in the lead of the Grand Prix. How has that happened? Ed, with some sort of monstrous lap, has re-emerged back in the lead at this Grand Prix, and now all of a sudden that 2.5 second gap that Addy had is turned into a 1.8 second deficit over Ed. And Chazza all of a sudden is 3.5 seconds behind here. Wow, so really showing how powerful the undercut here is. And now Addy has got to put all of that hard work in again. Wow, I'm quite stunned by how powerful the undercut really quite was there. I knew it was powerful, but I knew it wasn't. I didn't think it was quite 4 seconds worth. Christ. But now Addy just has to keep his head cool here, and that's seemingly not what he's doing here as he runs a little bit wide. He does have fresher tyres than Ed, so that should bring him a natural advantage here in the final stint of this race. But we're seeing that Ed starts to struggle in the latter end of these stints, so Addy can just continue to build up this, continuing to close this gap, and very crucially has just picked up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. And that's absolutely crucial, because at the moment he's not even in second place. He'll be in third place behind Shazza. Of course, we'll have to pit again off of these soft compounded tyres. And I'm sure Shazza will be launching quite a large attack towards Chiller Killer in the final laps of this Grand Prix. But now, very crucially, Ed, not only does he have track advantage, he has penalty advantage. He is penalty free at this moment in this race, and well, with Addy making that crucial mistake, he's now in the lead. And you know, he can have the ERS advantage, which he still does have. Ed started to bring that back though. It isn't going to mean much when you're behind and you have to finish pretty much in third place. If of course Addy would have to win the race, get the fastest lap, and Ed would have to finish in third place for Addy to even go level on points here. So it's all in Ed's hands here. But Addy starting to close in on this lap. Gap 1.3 seconds as we come towards turn 20 here on lap 19 out of 28 at the season finale here for Nemesis Online Racing League. On the F1 2019 game, as Addy sets fast lap the Grand Prix a 1:38.4, and he really does have a good pace advantage here, really showing that he is a very good driver around this circuit. As we have a yellow flag in sector 3, as it looks like Maverick has binned in the wall at turn 19 as well. We've seen so many drivers today make that mistake at turn 19. There's a very difficult left-hander there, of course, with the wall on the right-hand side. As now Addy just outside of a second, now inside of a second, but of course he won't have DRS. And Ed perhaps in a little bit of fuel trouble as well. You can see there he's got a lack of fuel, so that's going to be interesting as well to see how that plays out here. But with Chiller Killer and Chazza pretty much removed from this battle, it should still be quite comfortable for Ed, but Addy is still going to give it absolutely everything he's got here, as he's now well within a second of his Mercedes rival. Really putting a terrific performance once again, Addy, and who knows if he'd had a bit stronger start to the season where he could have been in this championship. He really has been the class of the field in the second half of this season, and it's quite incredible that he has brought this championship battle to the final race, as he now comes through the final corner and about to go on to lap 21 out of 28 with a 1:38 on that lap, so still quite a strong pace here, even though he's now going to be slightly affected by the dirty air of the car ahead, as Chassa comes into pits and he's going to put on a set of soft compound tyres, and now he is going to be absolutely flying towards Chillakilla in the final stages of this race. And I'm sure we'll see Chassa set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He's going to have to make up some advantage, but I'm sure that Chassa is quite capable of doing so, as here we go, Addy's going to make the move on Ed down into turn 8 here, and he's going to be back in the lead of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And well, let's see if Ed can respond. He's very close. He's got the DRS and he certainly has the slipstream here of the Haas. Can he perhaps try and go around the outside for a second time here on the Haas? But no, I don't believe the Haas driver of Addy is going to quite allow that. Squeezes him out there and gets the job done. Back up into P1. The lead has changed hands quite a few times here tonight. And once again, Addy is back into the lead here with Ed down into second place. But now all that Eddie really needs to do is just make sure that he doesn't make any mistakes, doesn't pick up any penalties, doesn't pick up any damage. And at the moment, he will be your Nemesis Online Racing League F1 2019 champion, as, well, once again, a blatant track extending offence there. I'm not sure if he's quite got penalised for that, but that's quite frankly blatant. He can choose to stay on the circuit there, but it's obviously quicker if you do track extend like that, and that's what we're seeing there. We've seen it by both the drivers here tonight, so it's quite disappointing to see that the drivers aren't quite adhering to the track limits as much as they perhaps should. But Ed's still within a second here. But Addy realised that Ed really isn't fighting at all here, so he's decided to save his ERS down the straight. But we're going to try and keep our eye on Chassa here, as this is probably the battle that's going to be more intriguing in the final lap. See, the gap is 9.9 seconds between Chassa and Chillakilla, and we'll try to keep an eye on this battle here, as Hereford has made his pit stop. I'm not too sure when he did, but he's gone on to the medium compound tyres, which is quite a strange decision. Perhaps he could have gone on the soft compound tyres and absolutely flown, and perhaps even challenged Testameister here, but he's decided to stick on a set of medium compounded tyres, and now he's going to put some Val under some pressure here. He's using all of his ERS, and he looks like he will absolutely fly past the Italian in the Alfa Romeo there, as he moves up into 6th place in this race as he momentarily goes into neutral. But now coming out of the turn 9 chicane. There you go. Hereford went hards to mediums. I am well aware of that. I'm saying that he perhaps could have gone onto the soft compounded tyres and challenged all the way up to Testameister, as it's going to be pretty hard to challenge and catch Testameister from this position, quite frankly. But here you go, Ed still within a second of Addy here, so Addy perhaps not having quite as much an advantage as what he did in the second stint in this Grand Prix. Just not able to close in on Addy, but there you go, he's hit the back end of Addy, and has he picked up some damage? Surely he must have picked up some sort of damage there. That was quite a severe stunt or shunt into the back of Addy there, and if he hasn't picked up any damage, that's quite questionable. Of course, if we're on simulation damage, he certainly would have picked up some damage there, but looks like he's got away scot-free there with just driving into the back of Addy there, into the turn 11 chicane. That wasn't the turn 11, it was the end of turn 8 chicane, I should say. As Chazza has just picked up a 3-second time penalty. It's closed this gap to 8 seconds now, but it looks like it's going to be quite hard to catch Chiller Killer now, as Chazza's going to have to save some fuel as well now, so that should make Chazza's a chance of picking off all. But now Ed has just picked up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So now the penalty battle is even, and now at the moment Addy will indeed win this Grand Prix. As we're on lap 24 of 28, and we're now, as the sun has set here in Abu Dhabi, they're completely under the dark sky. As now Ed's just dropped outside of a second now. And also forgot to mention that Chilokar now also has a 3-second time penalty, so Chazza still within a chance if he pulls off some sort of worldy last few laps here in Abu Dhabi to perhaps get P3. But not much action to call here, and as we come to a close here to our season. Of course, it's been a tremendous season. We've seen Bolt in the early stages of this championship absolutely dominate. Ed, of course, through the middle part of the season, really showing that how good of a driver he is. And then, really, since the end of the summer break, Addy has just been extremely dominant. And of course, sadly, due to internet issues in the last Grand Prix, I was unable to stream the race for you, but Addy lost out quite a bit in the last Grand Prix, and that looks like it's going to cost him on winning this championship here. It's been an incredible effort by Addy in what has been his debut season here in the Nemesis Online Racing League Championship. Of course, I certainly know what it feels like to finish second in a championship. I believe I've done it now 3 or 4 times in a Nemesis Online Racing League Championship season. So I do feel for Addy, but Ed has been more consistent throughout the whole entire season, and there can be no question that he absolutely does deserve this championship. But here we're seeing tonight that Addy does have a bit better of a race pace than Ed, as that gap is now ballooning out to 3.5 seconds. So I'm not too sure if that's just Ed starting to take it easy, or if that's just Addy showing how much better he is towards the final parts of the stints compared to Ed. Because we've seen at the end of the first stint and at the end of the second stint that Addy really does have a strong advantage, perhaps in the tyre battle between the two as well, the tyre wear battle between the two. As Ed's even starting to lose a little bit of time with Chiller Killer here. Half a second on this lap. Of course, it's going to have to take something incredible for Ed to lose the championship at this race, as he now is on lap 26 to 28. 3 laps to go to Ed can be crowned world champion. As we might have some action to call here, as Maverick is closing in on Val, and Val is of course on the hard compounded tyres, so Maverick really here on the soft compounded tyres should have a distinct advantage and get past Val with ease, and Val going defensive into a part of the track where you can't really overtake, but that's just Val, as Val has absolutely lost it by going defensive, getting on the inside curb, and he's gone into the wall. I'm not too sure if he's got any front wing damage, but I'm sure that he may as well just come to the pits. He can perhaps set the fastest lap of the race here he's got that pit stop advantage on Ragnar. Just come into the pits, have some fun, but he's continued to go on there as Maverick's, of course, taking P7 from Val, and Maverick perhaps could catch up to Hereford here for P6, but I know Maverick does have some penalties that he's picked up throughout the duration of this Grand Prix. As Chazza is closing this gap to Chillakilla here, 4.5 seconds, and with well, pretty much 2 laps to go now, he's going to have to put in some type of drive and some type of laps here to catch Chillakilla and to get up into P3. But now the gap at the front is 5 seconds. Addy really driving home this advantage that he has over Ed here. And at the moment, I believe that he would lose the championship by 4 points. As I believe Chazza has the fastest lap. I can't remember if Addy does have the fastest lap. Of course, if Addy did have the fastest lap, it would only be 3 points. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, every point matters over the distance of a championship. One little race where Addy perhaps could have picked up 3 points could be the difference here today, as he's really pulling this advantage now to Ed as we're on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix, and Chazza 3.8 seconds behind here of Chillakilla in P3. Oh, it looked like Test almost. I thought it was going to lose the car for a second, but Maverick starting to close in on Hereford for P6 in this race. Hereford with a very good drive. Of course, once again, he likes to go for this hard compound strategy, and it seems like it's worked out pretty well, as Ragnar set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix now at 1:37.5. That's a pretty quick lap indeed by Ragnar, and he's completely turned off his DRS there. Not his DRS, his DRS, as he nearly lost it on the exit of turn 1. Did Ragnar, and he'll just bring it home to the finish line, as now we are on the final lap of the Nemesis Online Racing League Championship for F1 2019. And what looks to be victory for Addy will ultimately mean the win of the championship for Ed. Addy now has got a 7-second advantage here over the Mercedes driver, but it will not matter in the end, as Ed's just typed in chat, going down the main street, get ready. He knows what's about to happen. We all know what's about to happen. Addy now coming through the final sector, coming through turn 14 and coming up to turn 15. It looks like he's actually slowing down here. It looks like he may indeed let Ed through to win, or perhaps he needs to save some fuel, as he doesn't have a lot of fuel here by the looks of things. As now Ed comes through turn 19, he's going to come up towards the penultimate corner of turn 20, and now up to the final corner of turn 21. And in 2020, it's going to be world champion for Ed here. What a fantastic season he's had indeed. A deserving champion, and full congratulations to Ed and Addy for putting on a fantastic championship battle here in the end of this season. And wow, what a battle that was during this race. Addy, of course, taking home the 25 points here, but it does not matter. Ed is your world champion by 4 points, as in the end Chazza only finished 9 thousandths behind Chill Killers. Maverick here could go for a potential move here at turn 21 on Hereford, but Hereford manages to avoid the contact, and Maverick will finish in P7 as he gets very furious and he didn't quite pull off the move. Val will come home in P8, of course, ruining that he finishes P9 in every single race. And here we go, Ragnar is now trundling, and he will come home in P9 to end what has been an incredible and thrilling and enthralling 2019 championship. And here we go, we're now about to move on to the podium celebrations. And here we go, of course, Addy winning the race, but he will not be the joyous one. It's going to be Ed who takes home what he deserves. Take home the World Championship. And here from everyone at Nemesis Online Racing League, a huge congratulations to Ed. He has been the most consistent throughout the season. He's oftentimes been the fastest as well. And he has won the championship, and he'll take home, of course, a very nice trophy which will be shipped out to him. I'm not too sure how long that will take to get to him with all the with the situation we have around the world here with the coronavirus, and of course we have brought forward the historic championship by 1 week so that we're not all bored out of our brains. But we'll just quickly here run through the final classification. Addy wins, of course, followed by Ed in second, Chillakilla in third, Chazza in fourth, Testameister fifth, Hereford in sixth, Maverick in seventh, Val in eighth, Ragnar ninth, and then our retirees Skull in 10th, Schecter in 11th, 12th is King No Skill, 13th Murcielago, and 14th is Dougie Aframan. But what a championship season it has been. 3 drivers really going at it all season long. Of course, a big shout out to Bolt, who's been absolutely fantastic throughout this entire season. Not here to end the season with us, but he really did put up a great challenge this season, and full credit to everyone involved. It's been a fantastic season, and well, I will not be commentating next week for the Historic League. I will be indeed racing, so until next week, of course, 9:30 Central European Time on a Sunday, 7:30 AM on a Monday morning here in Australia, and of course, 8:30 GMT or UK time. We will see you then. I'm not entirely sure who is commentating. I'm fairly sure it will be Bolt commentating, of course. Go and check his channel out on the Gaming Now channel, and you will probably see his commentary over there, and hopefully I can mount a good challenge to the fast drivers that there are in this league. But an incredible season. I've had so much joy and excitement in commentating this league. I thoroughly do love commentating, and it's been a fantastic honour for Val to give me this opportunity to commentate this league. Val and I have been good friends for many years now, and it's a privilege to commentate for this league. But that has been it for 2020 from me. We might see me commentating here for the F1 League later on this season, but for now, it has been me, Niblo, and I hope you all have a very good night.